Hi everyone, welcome to Facebook Live Friday. So glad you're here. Today we're going to be talking about the bow hand. I've had a lot of parents ask questions about how to do a correct bow hold, resources, and why it's so important to have a good bow hold. I'm Miss Melody. I am so happy to be able to teach around the world, and it has just been a privilege to teach students from all the way from Singapore, all the way to, wow, England. I love it. So today we'll dive in. My purpose is to light the world through music by teaching children the violin while also building confidence, helping them develop life skills that will last a lifetime, and also developing their academic achievement through violin. When we do violin on a daily basis, it builds the brain. It builds the brain. So thank you so much for joining me. Let's dive in about bow holds. The question is always posed, why do we need a great bow hold? Bow holds are important because it affects the sound and the tone and the phrasing and the color. It's like the voice of the violin. If we put our violin up, we can do fingers, but we need the bow in order to create beautiful tone. And there are different colors that we can create as we use the bow appropriately. So let's start with the basics. There are two main bow holds. There's a Russian bow grip, which has a little bit more pronation, and then there's the more traditional bow hold, which I will talk about more today. So with the traditional bow hold, the key is to have the thumb in line with the middle finger and creating power in this space. I call it to my students, this is the power circle, to get power in the sound. We also use a lot of natural weight in the arm. The bow hold should be round. So I like to have my students just place their finger, wiggle down just like this, and you can try it along with me, where it's a very round bow hand. And we want to have that roundness in our neutral placement. If you see things like this, that will create tension, and you'll hear it in the tone. Once we get the roundness in there, you'll be able to hear a lot more resonance, because we know that when there's motion in the muscle, then we have round tone. If there is not, then the tone can get stuck. So as round and as neutral and natural as possible is what we're looking for. So let's go through the steps of creating a great bow hold. Number one, power circle. Having the thumb in line with I call it the tall finger, right in here, and creating the thumb right on the bump, the nail in. Then the tall finger goes across on that first joint. There are different variations. Some other type of bow holds do the second joint, but in the traditional, in the Suzuki way, go over closer to that first joint. And there's a strong connection there. Children may not have the ability, especially 3 and 4 years old, to do that. And so sometimes teachers will actually put the thumb on the outside as they still develop their fine motor skills. So that's another option as well for beginning bow holds. So we put the thumb on the inside with the nail in the corner, and then the ring finger just sits easily. I like to call these the friends. Then the pinky is really important. The bow is actually an octagonal shape, which means it has 8 sides. And if the pinky is sat right on top, it's easy for it to slip down and to lose power. I like to tell my students the pinky is small but powerful, just like you. So in order to dive into that power of the pinky, to regulate the bow angle, we are going to put the pinky on the inside panel of the bow rather than right on top, because it's easy for that to slip down and lose power. Inside panel of the bow. Then our first finger is going to have ease and be able to have a little bit of pronation. So what is pronation? Pronation is when we lean toward the first finger. Supination, on the other hand, is when we have like a bowl of soup and we lean the other direction toward the pinky. We want the pronation for a nice natural neutral bow hold to create beautiful sounds. I often like to think of the bow as a magic wand, as I tell my students, because if we use it wisely and we create the right weight and the right formation, then we can create magic in our sound. We can create different tone colors, different emotion. We'll have a huge palette to choose from, but the key is having a relaxed bow hand and that's agile and flexible to do all the different bow strokes. So, one of the easiest ways to get a child to start learning is to place them in the middle of the bow or the square of the arm. Here's the arm, and we place it in the middle of the bow where we have a right angle. Getting a nice clear sound. If the child is placing the bow over the fingerboard, it'll be a very different sound. So it does matter where the child is placing the bow. If it's on the fingerboard, we actually have a term for that, soltasto, which is very beautiful. But when starting, we want to train that sweet spot. I call it sweet power tone, where it gets the most powerful, sweet sound with the most ease. So parents, you can put your finger here to help guide that bow as a child is learning to put it on the right lane. So let's go back to the bow hold. Let's review. The thumb's on the corner, the thumb goes over the tall finger, creating a round bow hold. Round, not squishy. Then the ring finger comes next door with the pinky on the inside. First finger is soft and easy. And then the elbow and the wrist, these are flexible. A great, amazing violin teacher that trained many popular musicians talked about how there are springs in each of the joints to create flexibility. Very good. In fact, I wanted to give you some references of some great. So I love this book, Ivan Golamian, Principles of Violin Playing and Teaching. I highly recommend it. It has all the details you want to know about how to create a successful bow hold, as well as many other colors and different shapes that we use in the hand at the tip and the frog for success. Another book, really great, Teaching from the Open Heart, and he also has Teaching from the Balance Point by Ed Kreitman. I'd just like to give you resources. Of course, our Suzuki book has a great guide on how to hold the bow and a good beginning steps for the bow and the violin. So as in the Suzuki book, and you can order it, it's not very much, just on Amazon. And then, again, this is another big book of basics by Simon Fisher, and this has a lot of different bow strokes and how to place and the balancing of the bow and changing strings. So this is a really great book as well. The most inexpensive version for beginning bow holds is just right in the Suzuki book, so that's very helpful. But for teachers, highly recommend these really excellent resources. Okay, so we learned that the most successful bow holds are the ones that are round, balanced, and relaxed. Then we've also learned that when we place the bow on the string, it is important to place it in the correct lane. We can name different lanes, 1, 2, 3, 4, but for a child beginning, you want to just be that pinky space away from the bridge and parallel to the bridge. Other things that affect sound include arm weight and where we play in the bow. So if we play at the tip, naturally it's going to be softer. As we get in the middle, as we get to the frog, it's heavier. Also, our lanes make a difference. If we're playing full tosto, gradually bring it closer to the bridge, affects our sound and our color. Also, bow speed affects the type of sound that we get. If we start with a slow bow speed, or let's start with a fast bow speed. We're going very quickly, it's like a white sound, and then get closer to the bow, then the bridge. The bow speed can make a difference. We can go slower and lighter, or fast and strong. We can do a combination of bow speed the rate the bow is traveling in combination with arm weight and finger power. So it is, I love it. There's physics involved, and luckily your 3-year-old or 8-year-old or 10-year-old, they don't need to know all the physics, but they do want to be able to develop a beautiful bow hand. There are exercises to help facilitate a beautiful bow hand, and I'll give you one today. I have a whole list. So we start with little bites. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, open. Just starting the beginning level. Really, it's like squeezing a ball, creating that connection, and then putting that element on the bow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The release is just as important as the power strength. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a great way to start getting that power and connection to the bow. The bow is often made of wood, and I feel like wood is very much alive. And the bow can also be alive if we use it to facilitate sound and emotion. So let's review. Bow holds, we want round. We want the ability to be soft. I tell my students, let's hold the bow like a strawberry. We don't want to squish it too hard because then we'll get juice all over, and we don't want to be too soft, else we'll drop the strawberry or drop the bow. There's a balance there, and there are times where we actually need just a little bit more power or a little bit more ease, and both are important, just like life. Sometimes we have our challenges and we got to push forward, right? And then we need to rest. The same is true in music and in our bowing arm and in rests. It's important to create balance. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that was helpful. It's just a little tiny bit of thought of how to start and a little bit of bow information. There's so much more out there, but I hope that you enjoyed this informative Facebook Live today, and have a great day. Remember that you are the person you need to be for your child today, and just being present with them is powerful. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.